hotel. Good evening. Just a moment, I'll connect you.
Hello and welcome to the 73rd annual Predictys, Basketballs Most Glamorous Night. I'm your host, Andrew Norris, and with me on this sacred night is my co-host, Parker Hammon.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Ever since some old guy in Massachusetts tossed a ball into a peach basket and decided to make a big deal out of it, basketball has made an impression on the hearts and minds of Americans everywhere. Tonight, we will honor that impression by handing out awards that are also predictions, as many have done for the last 46 years.
We're honored to continue this tradition of excellence. And Parker, as we go into our 86th annual Predictys, I just want to ask, what is the part you look forward to most every year?
All of the celebrities that show up to support us, as well as finding out what things we got drastically wrong.
Yes, of course. And if you look behind us, I mean, you can just see.
All of my best friends are here.
Then support us as they always do. But let's jump right into it. On such a glamorous night, you don't want to waste any time. So it's here actually to announce the first award is going to be Parker Hammon announcing the Dragan Bender Award. Give it up for him, folks.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you for that nice introduction. The Dragan Bender Award is given out annually to the team that's 2 years away from being a year away. This year's Dragan Bender Award winner is the Sacramento Kings.
And this is actually the Sacramento Kings' second consecutive year winning the Dragan Bender Award, which I think is something we need to talk about here, actually, because it's a team that has a ton of intrigue, right? From drafting Tyrese Halliburton to De'Aaron Fox's $150 million plus extension to losing Bogdanovich. They are where the Kings belong, and that is, I don't think any of us really have any idea. We know they're going to be bad. But how bad are they going to be? Would you agree with me that that's the question with this team?
They're going to be really bad. But the reason why they win the 2 years away from a year away award is because they've got some kind of maybe interesting young players, right? Like you said, De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley, who's pretty good. And, I mean, Jabari Parker's not that old. Could still be something. Kyle Guy. They've got some interesting pieces down there, but none of them are particularly good.
Yeah, and they got guards for days, right? They got Buddy, they got Fox, and I think Halliburton is going to be a really, really good player. But it's just I don't know if they're ever going to get everything to fit at the right time in Sacramento. So I'm going to say I don't know, just a random thought. I think they're going to finish in the bottom three teams in the West, be competing for that number one pick, where they would add another guard if they got it. So
they also are kind of in this weird see who's going to blink first standoff. With Buddy Hield right now, and I don't know how that's going to end. If it's going to end with a chase and a Bronco down the LA highways, or if it's going to end with a trade, or if it's going to be kind of somewhere in the middle. But that hasn't resolved itself yet, and will at some point during the year, for the better or worse of the Sacramento Kings.
That it will. All right, and on such a prestigious night, you never want to waste any time. And I have been lucky enough to be graced with the honor of announcing our next award, which is the 10th place in the East Award. This is given annually to a team that will affect the NBA the least, creating a ripple so small, it's almost as if it isn't even there. And the winner of this award, the Orlando Magic.
Oh, congratulations to the Orlando Magic, who are nominated for the 5th year in a row, and they've won 3 times in the last 5 years. Congratulations to them. They are stalwarts of this award, and the 10th place in the East goes through Orlando.
It does, as always. The Orlando Magic had a chance to take themselves completely off the list of nominees for this year, but when they knew that making a deal for Russell Westbrook would take them off the list of nominees, they said, no way. This is our award. This is the one we will win. But I think that's the story of the Magic's offseason. They did nothing. I think they could have had Russ. I think they could have made it happen, even with him kind of seeming like he wanted to kind of go to Washington and play with Beal, which I don't know. I mean, everybody who listens to this show knows we're not like huge Russ guys. We don't push him being the superstar of all superstars, but on a team like the Magic, he pushes you to at least that next level. Instead of the 8th seed getting killed by the Bucks, you might be a 5 seed with at least a chance to win a playoff series. So not only are they in the running and winning this award once again, but they live by this award. The way that franchise is ran is for this award, which I think personally is why they were handed the victory this year for this award.
You know, Taco Bell is a brand that lives Moss, and the Orlando Magic are a brand that finishes 10th place in the East. What's the most interesting thing about the Orlando Magic this year? Is it Mo Bamba? Is it maybe Markelle Fultz?
It's Markelle Fultz.
Okay.
It is. From what I'm hearing on the Twitterverse, he's getting healthier. The nerves in his shoulder or whatever it was are kind of getting back to normal.
Okay.
And his jump shot is looking a little bit more like it did at Washington, which was a smooth as hell jump shot. I think most of us know that like those nerves were causing a hitch in his jumper, right? Couldn't get it up straight, couldn't get it up smooth. That's what she said. And he is getting healthy, and it's finally working again. In the video I saw, man, that jumper did look smooth again.
Is that for sure what happened to Markelle Fultz? It was for sure a nerve problem in his shoulder.
I think it was 2 things. I'm speculating on one. Nerve problem, 100%. That happened. I also think there was a number 2 of some sort of anxiety or something with that. From everything I was reading when it was happening, that seemed to be a big problem. But it seems like he's overcoming that as well, which is much harder to overcome than a shoulder injury. So good for him. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do agree with that. But even now in your what year of Markelle Fultz is this? Is this year 4?
4?
Year 4 of Markelle Fultz. It's just a lot less intriguing than it was. It's just like, okay, the guy's probably like the 30th best point guard in the league. Okay. You know, that's what we got, and that's fine. But it's a lot less interesting, especially if they do make a trade and they do trade away Jonathan Isaac or Aaron Gordon or any of the other not quite good enough to be your best player but too good to be your 5th best player guys that they have. Then maybe we'll talk, but it's going to be another year of anonymity for the Orlando Magic.
Yes, of course, as it always is. One of the most consistent winners of any award we will have tonight, so bravo to them.
What's up, guys? Josh Childress here. Want to let you know you're watching the 53rd annual Predictys, Basketballs Most Glamorous Night. You know, if I were to be getting an award tonight, I think it'd probably be most likely to enjoy being teammates with Kyrie Irving. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Enjoy.
And now it's time for the Jayson Tatum is only 19 years old award, given annually to a player who's surprisingly young, seems good, and hasn't won anything. Time to open up the envelope. It's Ben Simmons. Come on down, Ben Simmons.
Congratulations to Ben Simmons. This is probably the least prestigious award that Ben Simmons has ever won.
And unfortunately, Ben Simmons actually couldn't be here tonight, so I will be accepting this award on his behalf. So thank you. Ben Simmons is only 24, man. Ben Simmons feels like an old man. But more importantly, I want to talk about the Sixers for a second, and that team's going to be better this year. They got shooting finally. Seth Curry, Embiid. I just got this gut feeling Embiid's going to shoot like he did a couple years ago, more so than how he did last year. And as we do every year walking in, is Ben Simmons going to shoot 43s this year? Is it going to be the year where he might step into the corner and launch a jumper?
I don't think so. I just don't think he ever will. And I don't know if I think that he needs to. Maybe once he's older and he's kind of in that like Blake Griffin part of his career where he isn't as vertical as he used to be and isn't quite as athletic and has to like find a way to get buckets in the way that Blake does, which I feel like is insulting to Blake, who's like a seriously lights out shooter. But I don't think he's ever going to develop it. I don't think that anybody like who's legitimately in his circle thinks that he should.
That's silly though. I mean, like that is the biggest missing piece right now. If Ben Simmons was a 32, 33% jump shooter, this could very well be the best team in the NBA. I mean, that's how good these guys are. These top two guys, they get underrated because they don't do like all the things all the top 10 guys in the league do. But Simmons adds a 30% jumper, and Embiid adds just like a little bit more versatility all around, and that team's as good as anybody in the league. But with that being said, I think this is probably the third best team in the East this year. So
they have the potential to be the best team in the East this year, as they do every year. Do you think that Doc Rivers is the guy to unlock that for them?
I think he was like their best option. And I think Doc Rivers is the first coach Simmons is going to have that if he like wants him to start shooting jumpers, he'll go in there and he'll be like, Ben, shoot some jumpers now. And Ben Simmons is kind of going to have to listen. Anytime you're the first overall pick, you kind of come in with some golden boy with you, where you can kind of do what you want, get away with some things. Mm-hmm. And Doc Rivers isn't going to let that fly. So I think it's a good hire. I don't know if it's the hire that's going to get him to the promised land, though.
I think that there's maybe some questions for me with some of the pieces around him. I know everybody likes Seth Curry, and I know that he's a better fit maybe than Josh Richardson was, but I don't know if I think that he's a better basketball talent than Josh Richardson is. So I'm going to want to see kind of what this looks like. Getting rid of Al Horford is huge. Getting rid of that contract was huge for them. It just opens up so much more space for activities on their roster. They have Michigan's own Derek Walton Jr. on the squad this year to go with, some interesting bench guys. Shake Milton, just kidding.
By the way, I have to throw this out there. Not that anybody cares, but I got to tell you guys anyways. Derek Walton has the 8th highest rated 3-point rating on NBA 2K this year. It's an 89. That dude can't shoot. He can't. I mean, he had like a good 30 attempts last year, but anyways,
Danny Green's going to be there. Danny Green is he's tested. You know for sure what you're going to get with Danny Green, and that's a guy who's great occasionally, but good at shooting otherwise. He's useful on the defensive end too.
Let's stop overreacting to one poor postseason performance by Danny Green. He's been money in the postseason his entire career before last year. He obviously got in his head. The bubble got to him. Danny Green's a damn good player.
Yep. Obviously, year 2 of Matisse Thybulle is also going to be interesting to see if, speaking of a guy who needs to develop a jump shot, see what if he can become anything better than a more stacked version of Bruce Brown.
That's actually, I like that. That's a good comparison. He's got a chance to be like a top 5 defender in basketball. He's that good at defense. Yeah. He's just got to get to a guy. He's got to become a guy who can score 12 points a game. That's it.
If that, yeah. Needs to be able to shoot some open shots. How do you think that they line up with Ben Simmons? Is he going to be a 4 or is he going to be
he should. I think he should. I don't know if Doc Rivers is modern enough to play him at the 4 and still let him run the offense. So I think he'll start the season at point guard and they might eventually be forced to put him at the 4. But he should be playing the 4. It should be him and Embiid down low because he can do everything you need a 4 to do, and then you get an extra ball handler and shooter on the floor at the point guard position. So that seems pretty simple to me, but they haven't done it full time yet. So
it's so nice. I mean, with Ben Simmons too, even if you're playing against a bigger roster, right? Like a bigger team, like the Lakers, for example. I don't know if I want Ben Simmons guarding Anthony Davis, but I'm sure they can find a way to keep him on the court and find somebody else to bang down low like that.
I mean, I would rather have Ben Simmons guarding Anthony Davis or somebody along those lines than a lot of power forwards in this league. I don't think he's going to run him off the court. Ben Simmons has become a top-notch defender.
He was all defensive last year, right? First team?
Honestly,
yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
Okay,
he was either first or second team.
I'm going to trust you. But I'm okay with him defending any 4 in the league. He can do it. Is he going to shut down Anthony Davis? No, but nobody is. You can stick Dennis Rodman on Anthony Davis. He's not shutting him down. So I think the Sixers are up there. I think they got a chance, like you said, if they hit their absolute ceiling, they could be the best team in the East with a stumble from the Nets and the Bucks. So a lot would have to happen, but it's on the table. It's possible.
Do you want to briefly say who got second place in this award?
Yes, Domantas Sabonis actually came in second place for this award. 24 years of age. Feels like he's been around for a while. He's not Perry Jones or Perry Ellis or anything like that. But
Perry Ellis.
It feels like he has been around for a while for 24 years old. So Domantas Sabonis, hey, good run at it. You really gave it your best. and don't feel bad about second place.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I'm getting word from my producer. I'm being handed a second envelope. Jayson Tatum has also won the Jayson Tatum Award this year. Wow, congratulations to Jayson Tatum. 2 winners of the Jayson Tatum Award this year. Jayson Tatum, of course, is only 23 years old.
For the first time in the 7-year history of this prestigious award show, we have an award with 2 winners.
That's incredible.
Good for you, Jayson Tatum. His 4th straight year winning the award. Just a record run that I'm not sure will ever be matched.
The unparalleled GOAT of how young. Can you believe how young this guy is?
Yeah. Wow.
Still hasn't won anything.
No. Will soon, though. Will soon for sure.
Maybe. Do you want to talk about the Celtics now? Because I don't think that it's this year either for the Celtics, quite frankly.
I don't know what they have to do to get over the hump. Obviously Jayson Tatum needs to turn into like a legit MVP candidate.
Yeah,
right?
That's what it is. Yeah.
But even with that, if Jayson Tatum adds 4 points a game and a rebound and assist, I mean, he's pretty much an MVP candidate. They need more than that. They need Jaylen Brown to take one more leap. They need a little bit more power down low. I mean, they're so close, but they still feel so far away. And it's the same place they've been in for 3 years now.
They're objectively worse this year. They don't have Gordon Hayward anymore. They didn't really get anything for him. They added a useful center. Kemba Walker might have a really serious knee problem, like a long-term career. What word do I want to use here? Career-affecting knee injury. It just doesn't. I don't think that they're better this year. Do you?
I think they could be. I don't think the roster is like noticeably worse unless Kemba really is unhealthy. The thing about Kemba that I think could hurt the Celtics franchise in the long term is the report came out that Danny Ainge was looking to trade him or at least shopping around a little bit this offseason. And that would be the second point guard in less than half a decade that they've done that to. Have this guy go out, play his ass off, and then try to trade him in the offseason as soon as there's an injury. And from what I've read, there is word getting around about Danny Ainge where there is no loyalty, there is no love.
Yeah.
You are a tool in the tool belt for him.
Yeah.
And you better get this thing figured out and start winning titles before people are like, fuck that. I'm not going to play for the Celtics. I'm not going to put everything on the line for that team and that city and then get kicked out the second something a little bad happens to me. So
yeah,
it could either be a year of turmoil or a year where Jayson Tatum just says, nah, the East is at least partially mine from now on. I'm here with you, Giannis. I'm here with you, Simmons. I'm here with you, Jimmy Butler, and sees if he can push that team kind of to that next level, which isn't out of the question. I mean, he's a damn good player.
The thing about it is, I feel like they've made small leaps the whole way through, and it feels like twice a year we're like, uh-oh, here comes Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum is turning into James Harden, and it really doesn't last for more than a couple of weeks. And Jaylen Brown is like just on that next tier below him where it's like, oh, maybe Jaylen Brown is putting it all together and becoming Paul George, but he's just not there yet. And my prediction with Jayson Tatum is that even if he does make us another mini leap this year, I don't think he's ever going to be that MVP guy. I think he's going to have to be your second or third guy. I just think that that's what he's going to be in 5 years. That's what we'll look back on him as they probably should have moved off of one of those two guys for Anthony Davis.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I get if you're like hesitant to do it with Tatum, but the fact that they weren't going to put Brown in a deal, what do you expect the Pelicans to accept from you? Like Taco Fall and a second round pick? That's not happening. And that's Danny Ainge having this war chest of assets and being too stubborn with it. He's had the pieces to go trade for a superstar since like 2015, and he hasn't got it done because he refuses to trade any real assets. And Anthony Davis plus Jayson Tatum plus the rest of that team wins the title this past year. It wins the title. And they missed their shot. And now we're kind of in this weird zone. I know John Wall requested a trade, but we haven't had a top superstar request to trade in a year and a half, which shouldn't sound too long, but in the last decade of NBA terms, that is a fortnight.
Right. Yeah,
at least. Sure. Like it's a long time. So Celtics, I'm not going to put a number on them because they could be the 1 seed and they could be the 5th seed. You know, with 1 injury or 2 injuries, they could be the 5th seed. So
I think they're pretty locked into the 3rd or 4th seed. I think that's just right where that team is. And it's kind of weird to see a team stuck in that specific purgatory. I don't know. I can't remember another team that was like that, where it was like, man, they're just the third best team in their conference, and they can't get to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Western Conference Finals.
Do you think they could, if they matched up against the Bucks or the Nets in the playoffs, do they have a chance to beat either one of those teams in a 7-game series?
Well, I mean, I really don't know what I feel like we're going to get out of the Nets, but matchup wise, Kevin Durant is not good for them. No. I mean, he's not good for anybody. But he's especially not good for the Celtics. And I mean, they've got some guards who can defend, so maybe Kyrie Irving won't be a problem. But I see that being a really almost impossible team for them to beat. I mean, Kevin Durant is just Jayson Tatum times 10%, really, right now. So I don't see a way through either one of those teams. You can talk me into the Bucks because, as we've seen for the last couple of years, the Bucks lose playoff series. There's one every year. So you could talk me into them beating the Bucks, but not the Nets. I don't think, not in a 7-game series.
Oh. And I also don't know if you saw, Jayson Tatum is now 6'10". They announced today.
What?
He has
That's
grown 2 inches. No,
that's
because
a lie.
The NBA has a new rule where teams get fined since last year if they lie about height. So once they get into preseason and training camp, they have to report an accurate height. And Jayson Tatum is 6'10".
How tall? Do you know how tall Kevin Durant was?
What do you mean was?
Was on that report. Like now that
6'11", I think.
Okay. What about LeBron?
6'8" still, but
okay.
You see pictures and videos of LeBron standing next to like Anthony Davis, and he's damn near the same height. I mean, damn near the same height.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is like 6'11", 6'10", right?
Yeah, so I don't want to go against what I just said where this is true now because they'll get fined, but LeBron breaks those rules, so LeBron gets to do what he wants. So whatever.
The human, give me some air karate. Let's start things out with some air karate, and then we'll move on to the show from there.
All right.
Are you feeling centered?
I'm feeling centered. My chi is where it needs to be. I got some yin, I got some yang. Up next, we have the Gold Star Award. This is actually given to the team that's trying really hard. I mean, they're doing their best. They go all out. Never take a minute off. And for that, they get a gold star. And that is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yes, big congratulations. Through, 50 years of that franchise, they've had some rough years, and they've always come out fighting. We saw this really lived up to and shown when they were the 8 seed, taking on the 1 seed Warriors 2 years ago. And then they finally take their big boy swing, and they get Kawhi Leonard, and they get Paul George, and they're going for it. And then they start hitting the sides of backboards, and it just doesn't really matter at the end, which is kind of the story of the Clippers. No matter what you do, you're a bunch of losers.
They get a pat on the head and a good job, buddy, from me. And that's why they win this award, because they re-signed Paul George to a 4-year deal, and they added Serge Ibaka, and then they lost one of their 4 best players to the team on the other side of the city from them. So, thanks for playing, guys, and keep it up. One of these days, you're gonna grow up big and strong.
Mm-hmm. You will. Do you think there's any chance Paul George makes it to the end of that contract?
No.
Because there's no way he doesn't get traded in the next 5 years. There's no way at all.
The over-under is 2.5 years.
Yeah, I think that's about right. And I think there's a chance it's 1 year, by the way. I just want to say that. Like, if him and Kawhi can't get anything done this year, and it feels a lot like the ending of last year where everybody just kind of hates each other, I think there might be a Kawhi little whisper going on like, hey, let's figure something else out because this isn't working.
I mean, he did this once before, right, where he pledged allegiance to an elite teammate in a city where we weren't sure if he wanted to be. And we were like, oh, Paul George wants to play for Oklahoma City. That's cool. Good for Oklahoma City. And then he was out of there. So the thing about playing for the Clippers is that you're in LA, and theoretically, even if you lose Kawhi, I think you can attract a Karl Anthony Towns or whatever disgruntled superstar wants to move, a James Harden. So I can see a universe where he stays there because of that, maybe because he never has to be the A1 guy carrying a team. He'll probably always be able to be the second guy, which I think is more appealing to him. But I hear you. I'm not sure how long he's there for.
And here to announce our next award, Parker Hammon.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you. The Breakfast Club Award. The Breakfast Club is a movie about a team of misfit pieces forced together who will find out that they have a lot more in common with each other than they thought. This year's Breakfast Club Award winner is the San Antonio Spurs. Yes.
So you know how often people will say the Oscars or the Grammys, those are rigged? This is the first time in the 114-year history of the Predictys where I feel as though it may be rigged. With the San Antonio Spurs winning this award, and not only that, but somebody by the name of Double P, producer Parker, announcing it, I just feel like maybe there was a little bit more going on behind the scenes than we had originally thought.
I mean, I'm not saying that the envelopes were hot when I was given the envelopes, but I'm not saying that they weren't. I
mean, for real though, the Spurs, do any of us know what they're going to be? Because there's a couple things going on. We've seen slowly since DeRozan and Aldridge were there. Every year they get like a little bit worse. Mm-hmm. But every year these young guys are getting a little bit better. I don't know if any of them are developing at the pace that the Spurs had hoped for or the Spurs fans had hoped for. But then you sprinkle in a little bit of magic that Pop can pull at any time. I know that wasn't there last year, but that's going to happen, after 20 plus years of consecutive just dominance, essentially. I don't think there's a chance he can make this team a playoff team in the West, but I'm not counting him out of it completely.
So this team just has a bunch of guys where you really don't know what you have. They're kind of unmolded right now, right? Like DeJounte Murray's been in the league for a while, but we really don't know what kind of player that is. We don't really know how good of a starting guard he really is, right? You look at Cam Reynolds or Devin Vassell, who they drafted, and Derek White, Lonnie Walker. Those guys are like, do you know if Derek White can potentially be a starting guard in the NBA? If Lonnie Walker is a potential starting forward? There's all sorts of intrigue with this team. You've got Becky Hammon on the coaching staff, which I love. They're going to be well coached. They've got some classic Popovich guys, as well as some elite veteran leadership from LaMarcus Aldridge. And if they can get rid of the DeMar DeRozan contract, or if they can find a way to add a younger piece for him, then I think that, you're kind of looking at a team that could potentially sneak its way into the playoffs, which would be a huge overperformance, and I think really set them up well for the future.
I agree with everything you just said except for one thing. And that was, how dare you come to this prestigious show and call LaMarcus Aldridge's leadership elite? It is a stain. It is a stain on the reputation. If I'm being honest, the only reason why I would guess his leadership is not elite is because he's just so gumpy. He's just, and I don't even know if it's a body language thing or if he's just built gumpy. But congratulations to the San Antonio Spurs. You've won another award. It's on the opposite side of what you guys are used to. But you never come into the show, and every time you walk into the show, you walk out with something.
Did you see Keldon Johnson in the bubble? I mean, seriously, they were a really interesting competitive bubble team, and those were a bunch of guys who hadn't played together. So I'm excited to see more. They are super boring though. They're super boring this year,
as always.
Yeah. And now for our in memoriam segment, where we honor the story of a team that passed away this year.
Cleveland!
Strickland has been downtown Cleveland gauging the reactions of fans once the news became official that LeBron was heading west. Good evening, Ray.
talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have lost 10 of their last 11 games, and there is a report today suggesting that discord has taken a foothold in the locker room. A story by The Athletic quoting anonymous Cavs players on the record as being frustrated with first-year head coach John Beilein.
Next, we have the Happy to Be Here Award, the team that's just glad to not be where they've been the last 5 years. First, I want to talk about one of our runner-ups and a nominee, and that's the Orlando Magic. Okay, I'm done talking about them. Now we'll announce the winner. The Washington Wizards.
The Washington Wizards.
And it's pretty simple. The reason why I brought up the Magic is because the winner of this award would have been the Orlando Magic had they done exactly what the Washington Wizards did, and that is make their team interesting by getting Russell Westbrook. This isn't the Pistons, right? This isn't where you can't trade for Russ. This is where you're in a spot where maybe one piece makes you kind of interesting and maybe you have a chance to pull like the upset of all upsets, but at least there's a 1 or 2% chance there with that guy. Beal and Russ, that's going to be at least fun. Rui is there. You got a good, decent young roster. You got Denny in the draft, which is going to be possibly the steal of the draft.
Could be.
Washington could be the surprise team in the East this year. Are they better than the Bucks? No. Are they better than the Heat? No. Are they better than the Celtics? No. But could they give those teams a game or two in the playoffs? Yeah, I wouldn't write them off for that. What about you?
I think that this team's potential is potentially a home court advantage in the first round team. So the starting five, I'm assuming at the end of the year, is going to be Russell, Beal, Rui, Avdia, and Bertans in some capacity. So their starting center is going to have to be Robin Lopez probably, which is okay. But, Mo Wagner, of course, Michigan's own. So there's a little bit of worry that they might not be tough enough as far as like the bigger part of their team goes. But they'll be really skillful. Like Rui Hachimura was solid last year. And I think you can kind of look at Rui in the same way you look at Sekou, where it's a 3-year or 4-year project. You get him in year 1, you see what he's got. You get him in year 2, and now you want to see what's really going on here. What kind of player do we really have? And if he makes another step up, I mean, he was 13-6 last year. If he becomes 15-8 every night, that's a really solid draft pick and a good player.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, Rui to me is a guy who's going to be a rotation guy at worst, who has a chance to be like the 4th or 5th best starter on a good team.
Yeah.
The ceiling is like a Tobias Harris light almost, possibly like with a little bit more bounce. So, you know, they're fun. And if they want at the deadline, we'll give them Mason Plumlee for free. So.
I'd give that sounds great. I would love to give them Mason Plumlee.
I want to put Ben Wallace Jr., Isaiah Stewart on the floor, and they can have Mason Plumlee for free.
Yeah. Oh, man, I forgot they drafted Cassius Winston. He kind of fell a little bit to them. That could be interesting as well.
They could. I think it'll be, at least a year before he's getting real playing time, but we'll see. Guy who can shoot like that. He's got leadership qualities, super high IQ. Those guys can sometimes find their way into the rotation earlier than expected. So congratulations once again to the Washington Wizards.
The Matt Stafford Clayton Kershaw Award is given to the thing that you'll be the most sick of hearing about at the end of the year on NBA broadcasts. This year's Matt Stafford Clayton Kershaw Award winner is everyone forgetting how good Steph Curry is. And that is not an upset at all. We knew this was going to happen. Every Warriors game this year is going to have somebody who's going to go, man, I just forget. Steph Curry's going to hit a 40-footer, and it's going to go, man, you just forget how dangerous he is from out there. We didn't.
No,
nobody did.
The second he hits one of those shots, you want to know what my reaction is going to be? Nothing. It's going to be, wow, that's a good shot by Steph Curry. I'm used to seeing him hit those shots, actually. I've seen him hit about 1 million in the past, and he didn't tear his Achilles. He hurt his hand a little bit. No, we didn't forget how good Steph Curry is. This Warriors team is still going to be really good without Klay Thompson because of how good Steph Curry is.
Yeah.
So announcers, ESPN, Fox Sports, The Ringer, you guys, if we could get that out of the way during the preseason here, or maybe week 1, that would be fantastic. Just get it out of your system. I know you want to say it. I know you've been waiting for it. So just get it out into the universe, say it, and you'll come out better for it.
It's going to be the first thing that like any major publication's feature writer is going to write as soon as they run out of ideas. When it's going to be like the 30% mark of the season, there's going to be man, Steph Curry is so good. Did you guys forget how good Steph Curry is? Article.
This is the guy who ...
Yeah. Oh God, it's going to be awful. Nobody forgot how good Steph Curry is. He's the greatest shooter of all time. His new warm-up shot is shooting from the fucking tunnel. Great. You know, the Golden State Warriors have like more beat writers assigned to them than any team in sports media right now. And it's not close. It's like them and then the Lakers, the Clippers, and then everybody else down here. And you're just going to hear a bunch of shitty Warriors takes. Actually, the second place nominee for this award is Andrew Wiggins and his potential. Do you want to talk about how tired you are of hearing about Andrew Wiggins and his potential?
Yeah, so like most people agree, Andrew Wiggins sucks, and that it is what it is. But when Andrew Wiggins moves teams or Andrew Wiggins shows up somewhere at the start of the season, it's, I don't know, there's still something there. There's still something there. And he has actually taken over that mantle from Jeff Green. So every time you think that Andrew Wiggins might have some untapped potential, just think about the fact that we did that exact thing with Jeff Green until he was 30 years old. And don't do it.
Well, Al, it seems like this is Chris Collinsworth for some reason. Well, Al, it seems that like Andrew Wiggins, he's heating up a little bit. He's playing a little better out there, and he might have some more room to grow. I know a lot of people wrote him off. It's going to be just like that. But it won't be Chris Collinsworth. It'll be whatever ESPN anchor guy is running the broadcast that day.
Yes, and thank you, by the way, Chris Collinsworth, for joining us on the 54th annual Predictys.
That actually wasn't Chris Collinsworth. That was me. I was doing a Chris Collinsworth impression, if you can believe it.
Wow. All right, let's talk Warriors. How good are the Warriors?
Boy, I really don't know. I really have no idea. If they were the second place team in the West, I would go, wow, that seems unlikely, but okay.
Steph Curry wins the MVP if that's the case.
Probably. It would probably involve Andrew Wiggins hitting some of that potential and James Wiseman being like elite out the gate, which I don't think he will be. I think James Wiseman's going to be probably not very good the first half of the season.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think James Wiseman is like my favorite for Rookie of the Year right now because the pressure, expectations, and like workload that he's going to have to do are so low. He has to go out there and defend the rim and get rebounds. That's all they're asking him to do right off rip. He's like, the touches will be there if he's ready for them, but if he's not, it's no big deal because they don't need him to take shots. So I think James Wiseman could be really good this year. I think James Wiseman could easily be like a 12-12 guy this year with good defense.
I think the argument against that is that he played 18 games in college, and that's it.
Was it even that many?
It was 8 games. Sorry, I added a team to that. Yeah, this guy hasn't like played basketball at a high level really. And while I think that the talent is there, I think it's like NFL quarterbacks. It takes them 12 weeks before they adjust to the speed of the game. I think there's going to be a little bit of adjusting to the speed of the game for James Wiseman. And it's not a bad thing. I don't think that makes him a bust. I think it just makes him a guy who's going to take a little bit of time.
I guess we'll see who is correct on this one because I feel pretty confident about it. I think he's going to be – I think like the worst case scenario for James Wiseman, it's like Andre Drummond. He's going to be a damn good center. He's going to be a damn good center. It's just drafting a center that high when you're not the Warriors didn't make sense for a lot of teams because even if he's better than Drummond by a pretty substantial amount, that's not good enough to be the best player on a title team. But with the Warriors, man, James Wiseman on the glass is a monster. Yeah. An absolute monster. And if it's just Steph Curry chucking up threes and James Wiseman going and grabbing those rebounds, there's a very good chance this is the best center Steph Curry has played with since this run started in year one. His competition is Andrew Bogut.
Yeah. Well, Andrew Bogut, I think, actually has become a little underrated. He was a really highly touted player, and he was really good for a while. But I agree with you. 95% of that. But going back to like where the Warriors could finish, if they finished in 7th place in the West, I also wouldn't be super shocked by that. I think they're firmly a playoff team. How good of one is going to depend on a lot of different factors, including coaching. I think this is the how good of a coach is Steve Kerr really moment.
Yeah, for sure. That if this Warriors team ends up as the 7th or 8th seed, I think Steve Kerr's gone after this year, and he should be.
You think?
Yeah, because we've seen 1 year of Steve Kerr like really taking a team that was already good but not great and turning them into a championship team. But then we saw, last year where he got the most out of a lot of guys, right? Like that team had some guys putting up some numbers. But this is the year he's going to have to show like, hey, I don't have Kevin Durant. I don't even have Klay Thompson now. I have Andrew Wiggins instead of Klay Thompson. How good is this team going to be? Because he kind of got to take 3 years off and just be like, go get them, guys. And they got him every time.
I get what you're saying. I kind of disagree with that because I think we've seen that Steve Kerr's like coach archetype is kind of that Phil Jackson keep the team together type thing, the Zen master routine. There's obviously a lot of insane egos on those peak Warriors teams, and keeping everybody in check, locked in, playing well, winning titles, being the most successful regular team in the regular season counts for something. And if he has a down year this year, I would think that the least you can do is give Steve Kerr one more year to try again. I know that there's no loyalty in basketball, but I almost feel like that guy really is owed another year.
Yeah, so like I don't disagree with what you're saying about him and Phil Jackson, but that works when you have Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen or Kobe and Shaq or Steph and Clay and Dre and KD. Mm-hmm. Now he has to prove he can coach and coach for real, which I don't doubt. I think he can. But if this year goes real bad, I think it could go real bad for not only the Warriors but Steve Kerr postseason. If they're a first-round knockout, I think you at least have to consider going another way.
I think the guy whose head is on the chopping block is going to be Draymond Green.
Yeah, but I don't know if anybody takes that contract, so it's not really going to matter. You know what I'm saying? I am actually, what's nice about this year, people who listen to the show know I love LeBron James, so I had what felt like a personal rivalry with the Golden State Warriors during the Cavaliers-Warriors year, and while KD was there specifically. And this is the first time in a few years where I feel like I really just get to enjoy watching Steph Curry without having like this competitive fire bullshit that I get watching rival teams of my favorite players or favorite teams. And I get to enjoy it, and it's going to be really fun. Not that I wasn't like appreciative of Steph Curry and what he's done for the game, how much he's changed it, but this is the first year I think myself and a lot of fans are not going to have like this eternal fire of hatred for Steph Curry. So that's going to be fun. I'm excited for that.
We're going to, I think, learn a lot about Steph Curry this year too.
Yeah. How much has he lost anything too, by the way? Like that dude's in his 30s now. He missed a year essentially. Has he lost? He shot 25%.
He's got a lot of miles on him.
Back. Yeah. I mean, not everybody can go to five straight NBA finals and come back from it the same. Not to mention a history of injury before any of that happened and while it was happening.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for Steph Curry. That's right. I said it. I'm rooting for Steph Curry. I hope he has an awesome year. I hope he competes for an MVP because that's better for basketball.
You want Steph Curry to get second place in the MVP vote this year, right? That's your goal? That's like the best case scenario for you?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
The Earl Watson Award, given annually to the coach that will be fired before the All-Star break. This year's Earl Watson Award winner is Ryan Saunders of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Give it up.
Wow, Ryan Saunders coming out of nowhere. Who thought we would hear his name tonight, folks? I don't think anybody did.
Wow. Never know what you're going to get from the Predictys.
You really don't. And it's as simple as this. I think Anthony Edwards is going to take a little bit before he's a real legit threat on offense. D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns don't play a lick of defense, and the rest of the roster sucks. This team's expecting to compete for a playoff spot. They're not going to do it in the West. There's no chance. There's 0% chance. So the Timberwolves are going to be down and out early. The organization will not be happy. The fans will be furious. And we won't get the trades this year. I think we have to wait till next year till there's a Cat trade or a Russell trade. But the move that will be made is Ryan Saunders will be out as head coach and somebody else will be in. This Timberwolves team, just don't get excited. They're not exciting.
Ryan Saunders is the most expendable guy when it comes time and you start hearing that Karl Anthony Towns wants out of Minnesota. The first thing they're going to do to try to prove to him that it's, we got you, it's fine. The first thing they're going to do is fire Ryan Saunders. What's his name? Is that his name?
Yeah, you
fire Ryan Saunders and replace it with whatever big name brand head coach they think that they can hire.
Yep. No, I think you're exactly right. And then that won't work out either, by the way. Cat can't be the best player on your team.
So, Jarrett Culver, is that just a miss? Did they just miss on that?
Yeah, for what they wanted him to be. Could he be a really good rotation player who plays good defense, 6th, 7th man off the bench, like super solid? For sure. I think that's where he's going to end up. I think he's got an NBA career ahead of him. But is he going to be this top of the rotation guy, this fringe all-star? No, not a chance. The game's just not there. The versatility isn't there. There's no versatility in his game, no diversity in his game whatsoever. He's just a basic NBA player, like super basic.
So the best player on that team is Karl Anthony Towns. And the second best team is D'Angelo Russell. And the third best player presumably will be number 1 pick Anthony Edwards. Here's my question for you. Who's the 4th best player on the Timberwolves?
What's his name? Just signed a $50 million contract. Beasley?
Malik Beasley is probably the most likely. So Malik Beasley is like a 2, right? He's not a true point. He's not point guard.
Yeah, for sure. And he's overpaid.
The 5th best player on that team is Ricky Rubio, which is a pretty curious amount of money to have spent on guards, considering you already have D'Angelo Russell and you drafted a guard with the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, let's get back to Malik Beasley for a second. A rough offseason for him outside of the contract.
It's tough look.
Good contract, good for you. But man, that guy's personal life is everywhere right now.
All of his contract, his signing bonus is going directly to his legal fees.
And congratulations,
just give him a lawyer's bank account.
Like you slept with Scottie Pippen's wife, as did probably 4 of your teammates and the rest of the NBA. That's what she's known for, bud. Like, come on, do better. You signed a $15 million contract. She's 8 times your age. Step your game up, bro. Step your game up.
Boy, Scottie Pippen should have won the Cuck Award.
Yeah, yes, actually.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
We have a new award added to the show for the first time in the 174-year history of this show. Scottie Pippen, congratulations, you won the Cuck Award.
Good evening, sweet world. This is J.E. Skeets from the No Dunks podcast. And well, if you're anything like me, you are enjoying Fan2Fan Detroit's 19th annual Predictys. Oh, what a show it's been, but lots more of awards still to hand out. So let's get back to Basketballs Most Glamorous Night. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Here to announce our next award. I don't know if you've heard from him yet. It's Parker Hammon.
Oh, wow. It's such an honor to be giving out all of these high-profile awards. The Anthony Bennett Award, given annually to the biggest draft bust. The winner this year is Cole Anthony.
Wow, good for him.
Unexpected.
All right, here's the thing. We know he was the 15th pick. Okay, but look at the top 10. Just really look at it. There is 2 guys in there that I think have actual bust potential, and I don't think it's very high because I think their floor is closer to like a mid-rotation player. And that's Patrick Williams, and that's Isaac Okoro, Okoro, we don't know how much he's going to be able to shoot. Williams, he's like okay at everything, good at a couple things, and great at none. So we've seen players like that not work out before. But Cole Anthony is the guy who in college was really good. He's got the size, but we saw all offseason him working out with NBA players and just getting destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, destroyed. There's just something about him that wasn't working in those videos. And I don't take like off-season workout videos with anything more than a grain of salt. But these videos, for some reason, just shook me when it came to Cole Anthony. I was out completely. And I think that is the main reason why he is this year's winner of the very prestigious Anthony Bennett Award.
I think that that North Carolina team wasn't that good. And I think that the thing about point guards is a lot of them just don't work out. most of them don't work out at a rate that's really, really crazy. I will say that when we were in committee, when the committee was meeting, I did vote for Patrick Williams, partially because I don't know if I trust the Bulls ownership to make a leap on a player like that. I don't think that they've proven to me that like they have this amazing eye for talent. And also because he wasn't a starter in college.
Yeah,
He's the best player for sure.
That's not good, but I should remind you of this. The last player I can remember who wasn't a starter in college that was drafted in the lottery, Devin Booker.
Yeah, but that's different. Those Kentucky teams are different than the Florida State team.
That's true. That's a good point. And the fact that he just jumped up like 10, 15 spots in a week leading up to the draft.
It's one of those guys who had great workouts. And okay, but I don't know if this guy can like really play basketball. I'm sure he's got great measurables, but
if his jumper form is money too. But if that pick works out, first of all, you need to thank Troy Weaver. And if it doesn't work out, then we're going to send you a little video message that says, from Troy Weaver, haha, fuck you. Because the only reason you took Patrick Williams there at 4 was because Troy Weaver made his value jump so high in that last week. There's no way 8 days before the draft they were taking Patrick Williams at 4. There's no way.
Go deeper on that. Tell me more about that.
Just the reports left and right that the Pistons are interested, or he could go as high as 6. And this and that, just things all along those lines that were very clearly smokescreens thrown out there by Troy Weaver. So Killian Hayes would fall to 7. And it bloody worked, mate. It bloody worked. It was like the precision of it, the timing of every news drop where those words were spoken. Troy Weaver pulled it off like a seasoned vet at the GM spot. And it's like I can't imagine a world where every team in the top 8 just had no idea who Patrick Williams was. And then after Troy Weaver, I'm suspecting here, it's not confirmed, but I'm suspecting here, starts dropping these news bombs that every team was like, oh, yeah, no, he's right. It was a couple teams being like, oh, shit, okay, let's do our research finally on this guy. And they did, and some fell in love because instead of having 8 months or 9 months to do your research, they had a week to do their real research on him. And that's why he jumped all the way up to 4.
That is interesting. I also heard, like, you and I listened to like a million insider basketball pods and tweets and all of the journalists who know things. And the Pistons were linked with Patrick Williams. That was a thing that was out there and a thing that made me very nervous. So maybe you're right. And maybe we'll have to send Troy Weaver a fruit basket or something. That would be crazy if he pulled that off. That would be crazy.
I don't know if this is 100% true, but supposedly Killian Hayes was number 1 on our draft board for the whole draft.
Sounds like coach speak.
Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but I know he was at least up there. I mean, if Killian Hayes was on, I remember when Trey Burke was still on the board, and you know what? We're going to save this conversation for later. I just decided.
Why don't we skip to a certain award?
Okay. Yes, our next award. The Prayer Beads Award. This award goes out to the team that is so desperate for their draft picks to work that they'll try anything. The winner of this award, Troy Weaver and the Detroit Pistons. So I'll give it up for them.
They were huge. They were huge winners of this award. They were far and away the first place winner of this award.
Yes. Let's talk for a second about the roller coaster that was their offseason. So it starts, boom, you trade for the number 16 pick right before the draft. Okay, cool. We'll take that. A first-round pick that's protected up the ass and will probably just end up being 2 seconds and or a first-round pick in 2026. Awesome. Sounds great. Okay, then it comes, picks are going. You're worried about Patrick Williams. He goes 4th. But even before that, you're thinking, oh, maybe they trade up for 2 and they grab LaMelo. Nope, don't trade up for 2. So here comes 7. They take Killian. Detroit rejoices. Because if they wouldn't have taken Killian, it would have been 100 times worse than after Trey Burke won the Naismith Player of the Year in college coming out, and the Detroit Pistons took Contavious Caldwell-Pope with him still on the board. I remember myself personally, who at the time was the biggest Trey Burke fan in the world. I have a Trey Burke autographed basketball in sight of me right now. I lost my mind. I was yelling. Like I literally was yelling, and I'll yell at the TV during a game, but not about this type of stuff. I normally don't get that mad. I normally just get sad. And I was yelling at the TV. If they would have passed on Killian Hayes, it would have been that times 10. all of Detroit wanted that guy here.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that completely. I think there was a lot of Tyrese Halliburton is the guy we should take here that I saw.
I think it was less than 10%.
Yeah, I don't. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know if I think that a lot of like average NBA fans have any idea about Killian Hayes, but
yeah, but we're talking about the people who get furious about a draft pick.
Oh,
Those
sure, yeah,
know
okay,
about
yeah,
Killian Hayes and wanted him here, right? And then so we finished this draft: Isaiah Stewart, Sadiq Bey, Saban Lee. All those three guys all looked better than expected in that first preseason game.
Sadiq Bey was incredible.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for that.
Going to be the steal of the draft. I think I said that on our show right after the draft. Going to be the steal of the draft. And then we had this weird free agency that still I don't think any of us have any idea what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
But it was because they were so desperate for these draft picks to work out and draft picks in the future to work out that they were willing to try anything. And this was year one of what I'm guessing is going to be 2, maybe 3 of trying anything.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with the question: will the Prayer Beads Award be gifted to the Detroit Pistons next year? Who knows?
So what do you think? What do you think that the rest of this year looks like for the Pistons?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I hope, because this team feels almost impossible to make real predictions for.
Yeah, they are really weird.
It's just wild. My hope is that Blake comes in and is healthy like he looked in that first preseason game, looked super healthy. The passes were wild, and a nice step back three. Didn't look like he lost a step at all. And Derrick Rose is healthy and plays well. And you can trade them both at the trade deadline. Cade Cunningham is legit, man. He's legit. And everything this franchise is doing right now should be tilted towards trying to get one of 3 guys over the next few years. Cade Cunningham, Chet Holmgren, and Imani Bates. That's it. That's the whole list. If you come out of the next 2 years and you're 0 for 3 on those guys, then you're gonna wind up being in the same place you were in before this offseason, which is, I bet. Tell me the 2 words. It's basketball. What, Parker? Or one word?
Purgatory. 3 syllables.
Always. That's just where we've been for a decade. So my hope is they play decently well the first half of the season, but still bad. Still the team that lost to the Knicks in their first preseason game. Let Killian kind of find his footing with some good vets around him. And then by the time he finds his footing midseason, you can trade those vets, have plenty of time for the Killians and the Bays and the Isaiah Stewarts and all of those guys. And you can, be a bottom 3 worst team in the NBA at the end of the season. That's my hope. And it seems like possibly the most likely path. There's a ton of paths. I'm not saying it's like even 30, 40% because there's so many paths. But I think that's the path that has the highest chance of happening, of coming true.
I think that the Pistons play it out this year with what they've got, and they try to move up in the next draft. This is a thing that I've heard from a few different places. People are looking at this Pistons teams and going, we could make the playoffs. I've heard that a few different places from a few people I talked to about basketball, and that really makes me nervous. Because could this team potentially be a 7 seed? Yeah, maybe if they all hit and get hot, but is that what you want to do right now? No, it's really not. If you can get off of Blake Griffin this year and make your team bad and give yourself a shot at the lottery getting a top 3 pick this year, you have to do it. You just have to do it. This draft is so fucking good. Even the guys directly behind those 3 players here are super good. Like, guaranteed locked-in NBA players are coming now. There are hot singles in your area, and they want you to draft them. And the Pistons need to do everything that they can to draft them. Cade Cunningham is awesome. I love Chet, and Imani Bates would be like a really awesome, perfect homegrown story in a lot of ways.
Well, what do we know about those guys, right? The homegrown guys, these top prospects. New York gets Ewing. Cleveland gets LeBron. Chicago gets Derrick Rose. The NBA seems to magically find a way to take good franchises who are down in the dumps, and when these top prospects come out, all of a sudden, here you go, you can have them. And the Pistons are one of the greatest NBA franchises of all time. They're in the top 6.
Absolutely.
3 titles, 3 of the greatest titles of all time, some of the most memorable teams of all time.
One of the 5 most signature teams in the history of the NBA.
Of course, 100%. And it's better for basketball when they're good. So if a lottery is ever going to be rigged, please let it be for us and Imani Bates, please.
there's like I think also a big financial incentive to like make one of the Detroit teams extremely good, because whichever team it is that kind of reaches the top of the ladder first, there's these it's gonna be
just think about the 04 Pistons. I mean,
Yeah.
they had the Red Wings around before that, but that 04 Pistons team had like 383, I think is the number, straight sellouts. It was a social event. People who didn't like basketball were going to the games to hang out, to be there. It was like, and then we had the stretch with the Tigers where it kind of turned into that at Comerica Park between 2006 and 2015. When a team in Detroit can go from being this just bottom feeder for a long time to a team that competes for titles, this city embraces them so hard. Like as much as any city in the world. It's such a great sports city. We've just been beaten into this depressed, laying in the fetal position fan base, sucking our thumbs because we have nothing else to do.
Ford Field is like a fortress. It's so loud and passionate in there, and the Lions are like the worst NFL team in history. You know, imagine if we
sports team in history.
Yeah, they're embarrassing, but this would be amazing. So let's not. We have awards to give out, Andrew.
We do. Okay, I actually just added one more award to the show. The Happy Fan Award goes to the Happy Fan2Fan Award goes to Andrew Norris and Parker Hammon for not having to talk about the Detroit Lions today.
Wow, thank you. Wow, this is great.
You're welcome. Our next award, we were talking about the Pistons. This is an award named after them. Mm-hmm. The Go to Work Pistons Award is given out every year to a team that could shock the world. This year's winner, the Portland Trail Blazers.
Wow. Congratulations to the Portland Trail Blazers.
Now,
it's a high honor.
I know what everybody's saying. How is this not the Dallas Mavericks? Because if the Dallas Mavericks go out and beat the shit out of everybody, it's going to be shocking. But it's not going to be Juwan Howard walking back to the locker room looking at you going, we going to shock the world. It's not that, because they have one of the top 5 players on the planet and a guy who's going to be, if healthy, a top 15 player at worst of all time. That's just what it is. We already know that, which is wild to say about somebody that young, but it's the truth. The Trailblazers had a really solid offseason. They had Robert Covington. They get rid of some pieces that they don't need. They still got some good big guys down low. Damian Lillard's not going to miss a step. Hopefully CJ McCollum can be a little bit more healthy. Just had some nagging injuries all year. And we've seen Portland already make a Western Conference Finals. I see no reason why they add an X factor like Robert Covington. Rocco is a huge deal, man. That's not being able to play that dude at the 4 gives so much versatility to your team on a team that already has a lot of versatility. Mm-hmm. And I think Portland could be the team that all of a sudden you're looking at the end of the year after the Lakers have rested a bunch of guys, and we know Kawhi is going to rest, and the Warriors have injuries like Clay, and Steph might miss some time here or there with a small injury, as he seems to always do. You're like, how are the Warriors the 4 seed or the 3 seed? How did that happen? And it's because they just have a solid starting 5 and an okay bench. And when you add that with one of the best scorers in the NBA, a couple of dogs who don't take shit from anybody, and then you add Rocco, this team's really good, man. I mean, I'm super excited to watch this team.
Rodney Hood, going to be good for them. They got off of Hassan Whiteside. If they can get like one of their centers to play 50 games this year, they're going to be great. They're going to be really good. They're going to be surprising too, because they are running it back again this year in a lot of ways. And I mean, they're almost kind of doing what the Celtics are doing, but they're doing it with more actualized players with like definitive marks, so you can kind of plan more around what they're going to be. But the 2nd seed and the 3rd seed in the West are kind of open right now. I mean, I don't really feel great about like the Nuggets. Do you?
No, I think them losing Grant and Plumlee is going to be huge. I mean, those guys they're kind of like the heart and soul of that team when it really came down to it, when they needed just people to come in and just make something happen. If their starting lineup wasn't getting it done.
I mean, some people are going to yell the Clippers at their screen, and sure, but the Clippers aren't a regular season team. That's not what that team is going to do. Kawhi is going to play 50 games. Paul George is going to play 25 minutes a game for a weird amount of the season. So I think that number 2 or 3 or 4 seed are wide open, and I think that the Blazers could go grab it if they're healthy. Yeah,
I agree. Obviously, congratulations again to the Portland Trail Blazers. And shout out Damian Lillard.
2nd place, Dallas Mavericks. They are going to need a lot of things to break their way for that to happen. But if Kristaps Porzingis is fixed or whatever, that's going to be a really good team. Tim Hardaway is he'll score you some buckets. He's a good player.
If the Mavericks had one player who is 80% as good as Kristaps, they could definitely win a title. I just don't think they're quite there yet.
Not quite. Close, though. I mean, that would be a team where if we're looking to deal Blake Griffin, I don't know what we would take back for him, but that's a team that I think would be interested in.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I think Luka is like plus 900 for the MVP. That's my pick for the MVP this year. Luka is my pick. I think part of the reason why he wasn't really in the conversation this past year is because I don't know if any of us fully believed what we were seeing. We knew he was awesome, but is this a top 5 guy in the league? I don't know. And then we watched the series against the Clippers, and I think we all finally believed, oh, shit, we are watching the next coming of one of the all-time greats, a guy who, I know this is so early to say it, but we can't not say it, a guy who might have a hat in the race by the end of his career in the GOAT discussion. The potential is as high as anybody in the history of basketball. And I think now that we're all kind of bought into that, the MVP talk is going to come right along.
I think I still see a little bit of, are we sure this is what Luka is out there from people? But
That's
he's
nuts.
Here. It's him and Giannis. Here it comes.
Yep.
I hope you're ready because we're moving.
And I
into
think
it.
Zion too. By the way, I think Zion is going to be right there. I think
I
people
hear
want to not.
The ceiling is there, but
but even look at last year. I mean, the dude scored 20 plus points in 10 straight games, longest stretch ever by a rookie. Coming off an injury, shoots 65% from the field. He's a monster on defense. At Zion, and he looks slimmed down. By the way, I don't know if you've seen.
I haven't really looked at Pelicans.
Dude looks slim. Dude looks 15, 20 pounds lighter. And I don't think he's going to lose much of that strength by being that skinny. So I really think it's going to be those 3 guys and Imani Bates.
He's in another world. If Zion comes out into the league 20 years ago, he's at best Bill Walton, a guy whose prestigious talent is overshadowed by injuries, because obviously that dude's got a weird body. But I think that they'll figure that out. I think that with Zion, we'll know more at the end of the season. I want to see Zion play a full season of basketball, and then I'm going to go back and reassess his ceiling.
Oh, and NBA fans, can we stop this whole acting? Nobody ever really says it out loud, but everybody acts like Zion doesn't have a jump shot. Zion is already at least a 33-34% three-point shooter already.
In his first game, he hit 6 in a row.
Yeah, the dude is a monster.
Yeah,
in every way on the basketball court.
He's not. So, I mean, he's no Steph Curry, but he's an NBA level shooter.
No, but in 5 years, he's gonna be hitting 36% on 5 attempts a game.
Yeah,
he's gonna be that guy, which is like LeBron type shooting. By the way, he's got a chance to be that type of guy with less creation ability. Because he doesn't move side to side as well dribbling.
I kind of just feel like the projection for Zion is closest to LeBron James. I think that's the guy who could end up being, because especially now later in his career, LeBron James is like a 4 and he bullies people and he's big and strong and nasty. And I think that's kind of the player that Zion's going to end up being.
That's the hope. That's the hope for them. All right, well, that's all the awards we have to give out in the 11th annual Predictys. What a night. What a night, Parker.
Wow, what an incredible evening. Thank you to all of the celebrities who showed up. Thank you to Josh Childress. Thank you to J.E. Skeets. Thank you to my roommate, Casey, who did the graphic and helped me with some other stuff as well. Wow, just magical. I'm tingling still.
An unbelievable evening. Some real deserving award winners we have. And thank all of you listening and watching at home. The Predictys would not be possible without you or Fan2Fan Detroit. So thank you, everybody, for listening. If you want to listen to the full, pretty much 2-hour edition, maybe a little bit less than that, but hour 45, something like that. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere where you get your podcasts, you can go listen to it. Other than that, for Double P producer Parker, this was your 23rd annual NBA Predictys. We will see you next year. Thank you all so much. Peace.